Hey everybody, great Valentine's Day Eve. That's right, this is January 13th. And Valentine's Day Eve was celebrated in a strange way by the Baltimore Ravens, who expressed their love for their Super Bowl winning quarterback Joe Flacco by trading him. They traded Flacco to the Denver Broncos. And they did so for the price of an NFL draft fourth round pick. That's right, fourth round pick. And so I just think it's funny. And what's going through my head are number. First of all, is this. I put out a tweet that the Broncos search for a great white hope quarterback continues. First Case Keenum, now Joe Flacco. Okay, it's absolutely hilarious. And obviously I'm not going to get that. And in total, the Broncos have not once, going back to Trevor Siemian, Paxton Lynch, Peyton Manning before that, ever seriously given a black quarterback a try. In this instance, last year, the Broncos could have had Lamar Jackson. Think about it. They already took Bradley Chubb, okay? They could have traded back in the first round, jumped over the Ravens, and gotten Lamar Jackson, but they didn't do that. So now all of a sudden they need another quarterback because Vic Fangio, apparently in the infinite wisdom of he and his staff, believe that they can't make Case Keenum be that guy. When you go back and you get a guy like Flacco, I don't care if it's for a fourth round pick. Flacco is a veteran quarterback. It's an expression that you expect that person to come in and challenge for the starting job. That's exactly what is written, or will be written, on Joe Flacco's unseen contract. There's the contract that Joe Flacco sees, the one he signs, but the unseen one is, hey, we expect you to start, which in a sense, if you think about the contract from an incentives perspective, is actually baked in to the contract, that expectation, right? But Flacco, I have nothing against Joe Flacco at all. I happen to think that Joe Flacco's best days were when Jim Caldwell was offensive coordinator, and if you had told me that Joe Flacco was headed to the Miami Dolphins to be reunited with Jim Caldwell, I would have said, yeah. But this doesn't feel like that kind of pairing at all. The Ravens' problems, in my view, obviously, because I'm expressing these to you, the Ravens' problems simply were that they didn't have the right scheme to complement Flacco's arguably slightly, I don't want to say declining set of skills, that's not fair. They didn't have the right scheme for Flacco, and they didn't have the right scheme for Lamar Jackson. They had one scheme for Jackson and one scheme for Flacco that are completely different and separate, as opposed to an approach that was adjustable with respect to the skills of each quarterback. But I really put all this on the Ravens defense. The Ravens defense in the playoffs was not the Ravens defense I expected to see. It wasn't the Ravens defense that allowed the Ravens to march through much of the season with Lamar Jackson at quarterback and rack up victory after victory. Now, yeah, on top of that was an innovative running game. I say innovative because even though it's been employed before, we don't see it much at all. We do not see much at all. we don't see much at all with respect to that kind of approach in the league. The last time that we did was with the San Francisco 49ers in 2013 when Colin Kaepernick was quarterback. One of you just said that you expected Kyler Murray to be drafted. Andrew Cipher says that he expects Kyler Murray to be drafted by the Broncos. Oh, you said you hope you don't I mean, okay, I stand corrected because now he just chimes in and says, I hope they don't draft him. I don't think Kyler Murray would be their best response. I'm not high on Kyler Murray as a top pick, but he does have intangibles that are irresistible. Okay, I will say that. In other words, if I'm in the third round and I'm looking for a quarterback and he's available, or even the second round, I'm going to take him. But I'm not comfortable with the idea of taking him in the first. Okay, yeah, they do like Drew Lock. You know, actually, the person that I like is Damian Jones, but again, Tyree Jackson's better than all of them. Tyree Jackson is the next Patrick Mahomes. All right, but look at all the quarterbacks the Broncos have went through since 2010. Since 2010, the Broncos have went through, let's see, Tim Tebow, then Peyton Manning. I believe they have some stop between then. They had I mentioned the Trevor Siemian, of course. Oh, of course, how can we forget? Well, Paxton Lynch came later. I'm thinking about the number 8 that played Sanchez, not Sanchez, but Schwab, Matt Schwabi, played for the Broncos for a bit. All right, and yeah, Schwab came and played for a bit. Lynch came much later, and in that, I felt that Paxton Lynch wasn't in a system that best took advantage of what he was. Thank you, Brock Osweiler. That's it, Brock Osweiler, Matt Schaub. I mean, how many people can you pick out who, if you think about it, if you think about Brock Osweiler, right? And then you think about Paxton Lynch. Those are two guys who look like each other. I even told Paxton Lynch that when I interviewed him. Hey, do you realize you look like Brock Osweiler? All right. And so in terms of body type, we can say, hey, Joe Flacco looks like, yeah, just without the beard. But wait, he did have a beard, right? You see what I'm getting at? When you have this much of a track record of striking out with quarterbacks, as the Broncos have had, at some point, you have to begin to ask the question. From 2010 to 2019, we've had a bunch of quarterbacks come through here. What is the problem? You have to look at leadership. I'm sorry, John Elway. You got to look at it. You have to. Because the brass is not willing to give any one particular regime a chance to install its system, hone and refine its system, okay, and make its system work. Tom Landry, the great coach of the Dallas Cowboys, once said, I believe he said this specifically in 1967, that it takes 3 years to build a team. And the first year, you're just feeling out. Now I'm paraphrasing what Coach Landry said. You're just feeling out who can do what. The second year, you get some idea of what your team is capable of, all right? The third year, the monsters on your team begin to identify themselves. But think about what Coach Landry said. Encapsulated in all that is this. It means that you need time to figure out who those monsters on your team are going to be. Those players that are going to be your monsters are the ones that need time to fit into that system. The Broncos only gave Van Joseph 2 years. And then everyone's saying, well, we're looking for the next Sean McVay who can have an immediate impact. Okay. But will he have that same impact his third year now that everyone's caught up to the proper answer for the Rams defense, which is basically an old-fashioned style of 3-4 defense. Excuse me, 4-3 defense. However, if you take it, you can also play a 3-4, bringing the linebackers up. But I digress. My point is that whatever happened, just continuity and stability. All right? Pedro says, got to give Elway a D. Getting quarterbacks, getting Peyton Manning was no-brainer, and Manning chose to go to Denver. Vance was bad at coaching. I think he wasn't ready to be a head coach, says D. Brown. But D. Brown, again, he only had 2 years, okay? Look what happened when Gruden. Gruden had his first year with somebody else's players, won the Super Bowl, and then didn't do anything after that. All right? So I completely disagree. Van Joseph started off the blocks really hot that his first year. You're allowed a bad second year. That happens. Except, hey, if you're black, whoa, you know, okay. Then you have to perform. It's like, I remember Ray Rhodes was hired by the Green Bay Packers. I believe this is 1988. And he went 8-8. First year. They fired him. He went 8-8 and they fired him. Look what happened to Hugh Jackson and the Raiders. He went 8-8 and he got fired. One year. Okay? And don't talk to me about, oh yeah, but Hugh Jackson later. I'm talking about the fact that you have this track record with black coaches that is different and racist with respect to their white counterparts. Give a coach, regardless of what the coach looks like, a chance to build their team. Allow that coach continuity. Look at what D. Brown says. The Cardinals firing was not good in my opinion. It wasn't. As much as I am excited to see what Cliff Kingsbury brings to the table, because I'm a big fan of the air raid, as much as I've been a big fan of the Sid Gilman style of offense, okay? So, but how is Flacco going to do? He's challenging Case Keenum for the job. It really depends on the kind of system that Fangio installs, running game and all. I'm not the kind of person that says, okay, you've got this quarterback, it automatically means wins. Well, that's not true. There are some times I felt like that. For example, I did say that Lamar Jackson would be very effective, didn't I? And he was. Talent does make all the difference. But you need strong defense too. I just don't believe the Broncos really quite understand what they're doing. And rather than pulling the trigger on a quarterback, the Broncos needed to say to themselves, what kind of system are we running? What kind of scheme are we going to run first? And can we win with that defensive scheme before we do that? Now, obviously someone would say, well, geez, they just made that decision because they have Case Keenum. They obviously want Joe Flacco to compete against Case Keenum. Okay, fine. But it just doesn't, it's just another quarterback round. It's just kind of like, you know. T. Brown says, do you think we look at this draft and we'll late and we'll next year? No, I think this draft is great. I do. But let me hammer down my point about Flacco. Flacco is okay. I liked him with the Ravens as a backup to Lamar Jackson. I thought that pairing was fantastic. I think Flacco for himself goes into a situation where, look, could he win the starting job? Maybe. Could he? But there are a lot of unknowns. I don't know how the Broncos under Vic Fangio are going to approach NFL defenses offensively. I don't have a feel for that yet. When I have a feel for that, I can make a better evaluation. Right now, I just don't know. Is Flacco good for them to get? Yeah, I thought he was better with the Ravens. I really did. I thought having that kind of, as much as I didn't like the design of the offense, note, I never said there shouldn't be two different types of approaches because they have different talents, Lamar Jackson and Flacco, right? But having them on the same team, I thought was really an excellent, excellent pairing. That's gone. Now he's off to the Broncos. So it's that fact, along with all the other unknowns, that makes me less excited. And then, of course, now there's this idea advanced by Scott Foley and Bet DTS, which says, it's Bet DTS, I believe it says, that the Super Bowl odds have dropped from 90 to 1 to 60 to 1. That's right, dropped for the Broncos because they selected, or elected rather, to hold on a second, host. Okay, cobwebs are out. Because they decided to trade for Joe Flacco, their Super Bowl odds dropped. The Broncos did. Okay, there you go. Sorry, I had to get the Tin Man essentially occasionally gets oil caught in his head, you know, and has to like shake it out. See that? All right. Just saying. Oh, boy. This thing being a mechanical man is not so good. All right. But I digress. This is a great year for quarterbacks. But have you noticed that because you have 50% of the top quarterbacks black, suddenly it's a bad year for quarterbacks? I mean, come on. Kyler Murray comes out, Heisman Trophy winner. Okay, no, he's not the best talent because of his height, but he can throw extremely well. He's got the one-loss record on his side and other intangibles, and he can run. Okay, he could be the next Russell Wilson. Remember him? Then we have Dwayne Haskins, and we have Tyler Jackson. We have Amir Hall out of Bowie Strait. You don't hear about, and you should hear more about him. Amir, A-M-I-R Hall. Watch the video on him, okay? Watch the video on him. But because you have this good set of black quarterbacks, suddenly it's not this great field. Oh, come on, it is a great field. You know, every year we deal with some form of racism in the attempt of devaluing black quarterbacks, and here we go again. Fight against it, folks. You know who's good, all right? And I'm not taking anything away from Damian Jones or Drew Lock, but the Senior Bowl types, the framers of the Senior Bowl tried to say, oh, Damian Jones, I believe Damian Jones and Drew Lock were the best quarterbacks when the person that had the best statistics was Tyree Jackson, and they made him wait until the fourth quarter. It's BS, man. BS, okay? How you doing, Wayne? Hey, folks, I'll be back. Unless you have something burning you want to get off your chest real quick before I go. I'm headed out. Please, if you have not done so, subscribe to Zenny62, and when you do so, hit the bell. There's a bell that just going ding. It won't actually ring like a dingy, dingy, ding, right? Ding. It will, you know, have this little series of little pin marks around it as if it's ringing, like it's going ding, all right? But it won't make the sound ding, but when you do that, it means you'll have properly activated the notification system, which I hope works to tell you when I come on the next time. Oh, someone says the Raiders to trade for Foles. Now, you know what? If the Broncos had traded for Nick Foles, if they were able to pull that off, I would have said, you know what? Yeah, Nick Foles is a solid top flight quarterback that moves very well in the pocket and has come off a Super Bowl win. Now, you would say, are you saying to me that you don't think Joe Flacco can win like he used to? I'm saying that with Flacco, the proof is in the schematic pudding. That's all I'm saying. All right? To be continued. And not only that, I hope, having said all that, I wish Joe extremely well. I say that hesitantly because he comes to the AFC West. The Raiders are there. All right, folks. Yeah, Joe Flacco can throw very well. He's got the height. He's got, Joe's got a lot to prove. I mean, no question about it. But I think look, Joe, the fact of the matter is that, and Derek Carr should watch these developments because you can't play forever. He has a Super Bowl ring. He has had a storied and arguably successful career. Okay? And this year, however, the style of play and the level of athleticism required to play effectively at quarterback in the NFL has altered in such a way that the game may be passing Joe, no pun intended, passing Joe Flacco by. Maybe. Now, if Fangio places Joe Flacco in an air raid along with Case Keenum, I think you give Flacco a second life. Joe Flacco will be a very, very, very good quarterback in the air raid system. All right. More later. See you later.